If you're struggling with your sprinting or your ability to run fast, this is going to be the video for you. We're going to go over the 3 keys to being able to run faster, whether you are a football player, track and field, soccer, any type of athlete, or just generally looking to run faster. These are going to be the 3 main things that you want to be able to understand. And a lot of times you'll see people that will just have issues with some of the basic mechanics. We won't get too much into the arms, but a lot of times it ends up being the distance that they're covering, maybe a little bit slow with how their legs are moving, or just doesn't look right. We want to be able to give you a little bit more understanding of why that's happening and give you some exercises to be able to help it. So the first thing we're going to go into is just going to be the front side mechanics. When we watch the best sprinters in the world, what they're able to do is generate a lot of speed. The front side is just going to be how much time we're spending with the foot in front of us. Okay, the foot when it's back behind us, that's going to be the backside. So we want to be able to eliminate the backside mechanics the best we can. A lot of the top sprinters do a great job of just not spending much time here. There's 2 big reasons with that. One, when your foot ends up being back here, what you do is you end up kind of falling forward the whole time. So you're constantly having to accelerate, decelerate, accelerate, decelerate, because if you start falling forward, then it makes it very difficult to be able to maintain that over a period of time, which is what causes the deceleration. And then you go back into leaning forward again, accelerate, decelerate, and that ends up being a big issue. So you want to be able to work on B skips, work on strengthening the hip flexors to make it so then your foot can come up and in front a little bit more. And the other part of that, the number 2 of why that ends up being an issue, is when you have a lot longer backside, you only have a certain amount of time. There are some people that say everybody spends the same amount of time with the foot off the ground to then when striking the ground. And I don't think that's 100% true, but I do think that there is a lot of similarity. So essentially, from when that foot comes off the ground to when it strikes down, everybody's going to spend similar amounts of time with that. If you're spending most of the time back here, then you don't have the time to generate very much force into the ground, which is going to be the second thing we're going to go over, which is a key part of being able to run fast, how much force you're going to be able to generate down. But if you're spending all your time here, then when you get here, you can just land, and then that is a negative impact on your ability to run fast. So we want to be able to get our foot in front, so then we could generate a lot of power down into the ground. And the force in the ground is where things like weightlifting and jumping ends up being a big part of it as well. So the first part that we were talking about, the front side mechanics, that's going to be much more of some of the drills, some of the exercises that kind of work on the hips. There's some like wall drills, some of those types of things that are great for the front side mechanics. When it comes to force into the ground, I think a big part of that ends up being the weightlifting and just being stronger within your lower body. There are some drills that I think help out with that as well, but the big thing when it comes to speed, some of the main things that I think are really important are lunges, or like rear foot elevated squats, which are very similar to that. I think another big part of it's going to be like deadlifts, doing broad jump, vertical jumps, things like that to help build up the legs are going to be really good to help you in generating more force in the ground. And then also balance as well. So the force in the ground is really being able to be very strong and very tall with the body position as you're striking. I do think it's important to understand that we want to be landing with the foot right underneath the hip, both from the side as well as from the front and back. Okay, because what I'll see is some people end up being a little bit more inside here, where we want to be right up underneath. We want to best that we can be on the inside part of the foot. This is going to be, from a scientific standpoint, the place in your foot where you're going to be able to generate the most amount of force is going to be on the inside front part, otherwise known as like that ball of the foot, maybe a little bit in front of the ball of the foot. And then as that foot hits, we just want to be very quick at being able to get that heel right back up. That's going to again help you in being able to master the front side mechanics. Once you have those heels kind of drop down, then that's what's going to make it so your weight falls back. As your weight starts to fall back, you're not going to be able to generate as much force to the ground, which is going to impact your speed. So then number 3 is just going to be how much time are you spending with the foot on the ground. And that kind of goes into what I was just talking about, where as that foot hits, we want to be very quick at being able to push right back off. People that are slower are spending 0.1 or more with the time on the ground, right? So when their foot hits, they take a lot more time to absorb all that force into the ground and then push off, where the people that are really fast are amazing, 0.08, sometimes, especially with women, or even faster. So their foot is hitting the ground and they're rebounding right back up. These are helpful with plyos. I think balances also help. You gotta have a very strong arch of the foot, but we also have to really work on that foot strike there to be able to be great with the for contact time. A big part of this is going to be, and I have to show people this all the time, and I think it's really important to understand it, is being active with the foot and the ankle as you're pushing off. So what that looks like is, like, if I'm here and I just try to, right now I'm just trying to lift with my hip to get my leg up. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push off of my back foot to get my leg up. See, I can get more range and more height with that. And some people just need to work on that, just how you're pushing off the ground to drive your knee up is such a big part when it comes to foot contact time, front side mechanics, and also ground force, because once you can get here, now you can generate power into the ground. If you are here, I can't get power into the ground from there. Right, so you have to be able to understand how to use your foot, how to use your ankle. That's probably the most important part of sprinting in general, is how well you can push off the ground and get that knee up. But you just have to understand the fundamentals to be able to get there first, and the body positions, and what the goal is for that to really be as effective as possible. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope this ends up helping you a ton. If it does, click that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those down below, and we'll talk to you soon.